You've probably been told that habits are all about willpower, that if you want to change, you just need to grit your teeth and try harder. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if your habits aren't a flaw in your character, but an essential feature of your mind's hidden architecture?
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That one habit you absolutely hate. The one you fought against, maybe even shamed yourself for. And yet, it's still there. It feels like a personal failing, doesn't it? Like a glitch in your own software? But what if it's not a flaw at all?
We have all heard this a million times, right? Just be more disciplined. You just have to break the cycle. Force yourself to do it for 21 days and it'll stick. It's the standard playbook for self-improvement, and let's be honest, for most of us, it's a playbook for failure.
See, the real answer isn't about running faster on that hamster wheel of willpower. It's about understanding the machine itself. We need to stop trying to manage the behavior on the surface and start looking at the hidden structure underneath, the actual architecture of our minds.
This is the foundational myth we've all been sold. Do something often enough and it becomes automatic. It sounds so logical, so intuitive, but the truth is, we've been looking at the whole thing completely backwards.
That repetition, it isn't the cause of a habit. No way. It's the evidence of one. It's like a footprint in the sand left behind by a much deeper, more powerful force that has already made its decision long before you were even aware of it. All right, so let's start building this new model. We need to understand the fundamental principles that are running your internal system. And this isn't about psychology, really. It's more like physics. It's about how your mind manages energy and fights to maintain stability.
First up is a concept called load. Think of your mind like a computer's CPU. Every bit of stress from work, every emotional conflict, every tiny decision you have to make throughout the day, it all uses up processing power. This total weight, this cognitive and emotional static, that's your load.
Next, we have coherence. Your mind absolutely craves consistency. It needs your actions, your beliefs, and your sense of who you are, your identity, to all tell the same story. So if you see yourself as a healthy person, but you keep reaching for junk food, that contradiction creates a ton of internal stress. That's a break in coherence.
And finally, there's structural economy. At its core, your mind is incredibly efficient. I mean, it's lazy in the smartest way possible. Like water flowing downhill, it will always find the path of least resistance. It defaults to whatever configuration costs the least amount of energy to manage its current load and stay stable.
So let's put this all together and see the difference. The old model was super simple. You repeat something and it becomes a habit. But the new model, well, it shows us what's really going on. It all starts with a load. That load forces your mind to find stability. The habit is just the cheapest, most economical path to that stability. The repetition we see on the outside, that's just the evidence of this whole process happening over and over again.
And now, the true purpose of a habit becomes crystal clear. It's not some random mindless loop. It's a highly sophisticated solution. That bad habit you can't stand? From your mind's perspective, it's the most efficient way it's found to reduce load, preserve your sense of self, and basically keep the whole system stable. It's not a mistake, it's a masterpiece of efficiency.
Now, this is a massive shift in thinking. We tend to believe habits are all about chasing pleasure or avoiding pain. They're not. The primary driver is safety. Your mind will choose a miserable but stable and predictable state over a potentially happy but unstable one every single time. It's literally built for survival, not necessarily for your satisfaction.
So if a habit is actually a structural solution, what on earth happens when we try to attack it with brute force willpower? Well, we're not fixing the problem at all. We're just attacking the symptom.
Think about it. When you try to just stop a habit by force, you're not fixing a leaky pipe. You're ripping out a load-bearing wall. First, you remove the very thing that was keeping the system stable. This immediately makes the overall load feel way heavier. Then, your identity gets all shaky. And what does the system do? It panics and collapses right back to the only safe configuration it knows, the old habit.
And here's the real kicker. That thing we praise so much that we call willpower, from an architectural point of view, it's just more stress. It's more load. You're trying to fix an already strained system by piling more weight on top of it. The very act of resisting is incredibly expensive, which is why it's so exhausting and why it almost always fails.
Let that one sink in for a second. The resistance you feel when you're trying to change isn't a weakness in your character. It's a structural integrity alert. It's your system screaming at you that you are threatening its stability. It's a feature, not a bug.
Okay, so if fighting our habits is a losing game, then what's the alternative? Well, this is where it gets really good.
This is about working with the architecture, not against it. It's about how to make change feel almost effortless. Have you ever experienced this? A habit that you struggled with for years. Just poof, vanishes. One day you wake up and the urge is just gone. You didn't even try. It feels like some kind of magic, but I promise you, it's not. It's architecture.
So here's what was happening behind the scenes. Something in your life changed. Maybe you moved, or got a new job, or ended a relationship. The underlying load on your system shifted. And all of a sudden, that old habit was no longer the most economical solution. A new, better pathway opened up, and your system just automatically switched to it because it was just plain more efficient.
This is the most crucial takeaway. Stop fighting the behavior. Instead, change the conditions that require the behavior in the first place. It's like, instead of forcing a plant to grow straight, just move it so it has a better source of light. You make the old habit structurally obsolete, and it will just wither away on its own.
This is the old, broken question. It's a question that comes from a place of force, of fighting symptoms. It's a battle that you are architecturally destined to lose. We need to just throw this question out the window.
And we need to replace it with this one. See, this question is about curiosity, not judgment. It asks you to become an architect of your own mind, to ask, what load is this habit actually managing for me? What part of my identity is it protecting? What instability is it preventing?
Because once you understand the structure, you can actually begin to change it. And when you change that underlying architecture, the behaviors that sit on top of it, they just have to change too. Not because you fought them into submission, but because they have no other choice. Change becomes inevitable.